man, you know what I'm saying? This is all natural. This is something we've done before. So pretty much, you really don't need any other introduction, but I'll still introduce you to the audience as well, man. So this is Trey and Isaac with Let's Just Talk Art. This is my virtual art talent show. We do this pretty much every week. For the private group, for the public group, we try to do it for at least every month. And so today, it's just us showcasing, in some sense, our artistic side, or a certain element of our artistic side, because again, art can be displayed in multiple ways. But I'm going to be sharing some of my poetry tonight, and I think Isaac's going to be doing the same thing as well. And we'll just be, giving you guys a taste of that artistic side of poetry. Poetry is a form of art. I think it's a form of creativity, and it allows you to showcase, those emotions and express those emotions through words, verbally. So, Isaac, man, I actually want to start off with just a few questions before we actually dive into it, man.
Of
Um,
course.
and that is the first question. I have this up in the group as well. But what does art mean to you, Isaac, when you think of art?
Uh, I think every time I get asked a question kind of like this, I want to make it sound amazing and
Yeah.
professional.
Hmm.
But I know that it never ends up well when I try to explain
Yeah.
it. It always sounds what's the word I'm looking for? I guess pretentious or arrogant. I don't know. Maybe something like that. Art for me has been something I denied a lot when I was younger. Even when I was in band, I only listened to the music. I might have gotten into the rhythm of the music because I had to
Yeah.
with being a percussion.
Hmm. Yeah.
But when I no longer had music and marching band and that stuff to kind of fall back on to
Hmm.
focus myself, and like I said before, I started writing before uh, I left high school. It was probably my sophomore year. I didn't really get into it till about senior year, but
Wow.
with everything that was going on, I had a lot of thoughts in my head that I couldn't express,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
I found that a lot of times that my voice was denied being heard.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. Hmm.
with me not being able to be my own person and with me not being able to form my own opinions, I
Hmm.
became very passive aggressive with my reactions to things.
Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
think when I became that and I still couldn't talk, it wasn't enough. So I think I delved more into writing and it brought about a personality that I never thought I had inside of me.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, and you actually spoke about that a bit in the group. I kind of wanted to revisit that now since you brought it back up. But yeah, like you said, you had that element of suppression when you were growing up or in your childhood. It was an aspect where you had an environment that wasn't nurturing that, but instead was suppressing your artistic side. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Were you ever able to verbally communicate that to the people that were around you, or not so much so?
So at one point, this was my parents mostly. So
Mm,
at one point, I was like, a friend is in need to move into an apartment, and I want to get out as soon as I can too.
yeah.
So I didn't really get to know him personally. I found out that living with him was a mistake. But
Mm,
we live and we learn. We make mistakes. We kind of roll with the punches and all that. So I did that with him for 2 years, and then I spent 9 months kind of living on my own,
mm,
which I guess when I thought I knew everything back at that point, I just was very destructive, self
mm.
self destructive. I
Self-destructive.
thought
Hmm.
I was untouchable and all that stuff. A lot of people do that, probably at a younger age than I did it, but
Yeah.
still.
Hmm.
And then I went back to them. I went back to my parents because I had to get some things sorted out, and I I figured when I was younger that I could at least take my part of the blame
Mm.
for what happened the first time and implement and be better the second time.
Yeah.
So everything I did, I tried to do everything that they needed me to do. I tried to,
Mm.
bend myself backwards in the way they needed me to do. But
Yeah.
when I talked about things that I enjoyed and I wanted to do, it was always just dismissed.
Mm.
I think a great example is uh, you like to watch entertaining stories, right?
Yeah.
I assume that maybe you like WWE.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, my parents, my father told me at the age of 26 that I couldn't watch wrestling because it was fake. Now,
Wow.
I get that it's fake, and I get that a lot of the aspects of it are for show and it's showmanship.
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
tells a story, and when
Yeah.
I write, I like to tell a story too. So I see
Hmm.
the picture visual of two guys fighting for what they believe is correct,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
sometimes they even blur those lines, and it's just so great.
Yeah. Amazing.
But, but I think like anything that tried to show artistry of any sort,
Yeah.
it was denied.
Mm.
I went back and said, look, the stuff from Law and Order, plenty of that stuff is fake too.
Fake. Yeah.
You're going to tell me that I can't watch this fake thing when it's actually a representation of real life. If you go back and watch it now, you can see it now. It's representing, like the bloodline.
Hmm.
It's implementing the narcissism and the I own you and you're not your own.
Hmm.
That entire story.
Yeah.
Imagine if I couldn't watch that, I wouldn't be inspired by some of the inspired by others, and I think
Exactly.
that's the best part uh, of having your own art is inspired by others,
Mm.
and it comes from the heart and uh, your own experiences in life as well.
Mm. Mm. Man, I love that, bro. Tying it back to the experiences of your own life, that you start to paint the picture or a picture that is a contribution of what it is you, like you said, your childhood, what it is you went through, the poems that we write, the paintings that people paint. A lot of times those things tell stories, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And art can, again, I asked a question in the art group, maybe like a few days ago, but I was like, when it comes down to the word weird, how is art, in some sense conveyed in that way? Is all form of is all forms of art weird? Is it something that is just this thing that no one understands, or is it actually trying to tell you something? And you just stated that, art is a form of storytelling. It's a
Yep.
form of letting you know, hey, I'm not a normal person. I think an artist is not a normal person, but there's someone who in some way can, in a very simple yet unique way, explain or express a story in a way that no one else probably can. And that aspect, or that medium by which an artist chooses to display that story connects with those who also display in that same way. So poetry, or painting, or digital art, or anything like that, people who also function in that realm, they know what you're doing. Me and you, we kind of understand each other very much so, because we're poets.
Mm-hmm.
We know what we're doing. I hear the pain in your poems when you read Isaac. I hear the story you're telling. I hear the things that you're saying in regards to that. But to just the normal Joe Blow, it's just like, what? This is weird. What is
Yeah,
he talking about?
I think a lot of issues with poetry and drawing and painting and all those other kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's looked at as weird because most people live relatively normal lives.
Mm.
And I think with me also saying, we go back to what we talked about and how I wanted to word this very carefully. You can write poetry on everyday life and everyday
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah.
I'm just starting to learn that, and I've shown you a couple of things like that too. Off the
Mm-hmm.
top of the head from the Instagram post I had with a little bit of drama there.
Yeah.
But I think it's because a lot of people go, well, everybody lives the same kind of life, and to think
Mm-hmm.
otherwise is just insane or weird, whatever word you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that have to use art to express their emotions have taken a long, hard look at themselves and really introspected their thoughts and their emotions.
Yep.
I think they really honed in on who they are as an
Mm-hmm.
individual, because a lot of people don't have to figure out who they are as an individual because they've always been promoted to be an individual from their
Mm-hmm.
parents, from their peers. Whereas, you know, my example, and I'm not sure uh, how you came about your artistic ability.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there was hardships in your own life too, but for me, it's I didn't have a voice.
Yeah.
Nobody understood. and people saw like the surface level things, but never saw underneath. And the
Yeah.
more I try to fight and be my own person and have my own life, the more it seems like they don't want that because they don't understand.
Yeah. 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 Man, this is deep, man. You know we can go on and on with this. Just this
Sure.
subject alone, man. Let me ask you this. Again, I know that you write poetry. I know that that's a form of your art and a form in which you display your art, your artistic side. But what would be other ways in which you also express that artistic side, or is it just poetry?
I think I think poetry is definitely one I've kind of avoided for a while. I think it's I think since you've given me a new outlook on writing about, you know, more so everyday kind of things, and you can
Yeah,
find beauty in lots of smaller things in everyday
yeah,
life,
mm-hmm,
instead of just looking at the monumental things. I need to look,
mm-hmm,
I like the big picture, but looking at the smaller details, I've always wanted to do that.
yeah,
I think
mm-hmm,
other ways I've tried to express is through through video games. I try to do that too. I think I
mm,
express that because it's kind of, I like to play competitive sports more so. So
mm-hmm,
therefore, I have to outsmart the opponent. I have to learn
yeah,
their patterns, and I have to do this and I do that. We are taught at a young age to learn patterns
mm-hmm,
and shapes and all that stuff. And a lot of the things that I've gone through, once I've learned the patterns, I can improve, and not only improve, I can thrive in those sorts of environments.
mm-hmm,
So I like to use anything that doesn't allow me. I don't know. I guess we go back to before we're recording. We talked about, you know freedom of jobs and independent work.
yeah,
I have a lot of issues with my personality being, knowing who I am. A lot of other people that don't really know who they are
mm-hmm,
kind of get envious and jealous of that, and they try to take it out on me for, just because I'm comfortable with my own skin.
man,
So I think I use the independent contracting work
mm-hmm,
as well, because it gives me time to not have to worry about every little detail of everything else, trying to keep myself from going crazy at the next job.
yeah,
And I can really start to strategize and understand what I want and how I'm going to
mm-hmm,
get it without, being on the bottom of the chopping block.
mm-hmm, yeah, 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 yeah. I love that, man. I love, just again the whole aspect of how you fight for that artistic expression. Like you said, people they find you intimidating when you're comfortable in your own skin, when you've learned how to, express yourself in the artistic ways that you do, poetry or any other aspect. That really makes a person afraid because it becomes you in some sense become not normal. You become unnatural, atypical is the word. Like you become the person that is not a person. You know that there's more to it. You know that there's more to you, and there's more to life. There's more than just the 9 to 5 job. Come home, watch TV, go to sleep.
Yep.
And then repeat that cycle all over again until you die.
Yep.
An artist says no. I will pick up this paintbrush. I will do this. I will step outside the comfort zone. I will showcase what it is that I have burning in my soul. And again, to see you doing that, you've put out a book, you've put out other forms of art, you've showcased it on my platform. To see you doing that, showing up here tonight, what I'm saying alone is a testimony to that. Um, man, that this is so dope. All right, let me ask you this: the final question before we get into our poems.
Got it.
What keeps your artistic wheels turning? What keeps you going artistically?
I think by myself, it had to keep going because I needed to have an outlet when nothing else worked.
Mm,
I wanted to go to writing for that sort of thing. I think I wanted to keep the wheels turning because I knew that even if I didn't make it, even if everything was against me,
yeah,
everything's always been against me. So
yeah,
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it, and whether it succeeds or fails,
mm,
I know I did it.
yep,
And I think the more I kept telling myself that, the more I uh, uh, willed
Mm.
other people that are kind of the same that want to write and do this and do that,
Yeah.
and,
Mhm.
and then to gain more traction on that, I have willed through the YouTube algorithm to find
Mm.
you.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I love that. Again, your will to fight, your will to press, your will to um like you said, to find that same level of hunger, same level of desire for expression in that community has allowed you to stumble upon me. And that was through YouTube, man. Like you were actually the first person to join one of my groups from YouTube.
Mm.
So yeah, yeah, like the first. So when you did that, when you literally responded to my video with a poem, it was with a poem. Like that alone showed me, bro, that this guy is I mean, you were like the perfect person I could have ever asked for to join my poetry group or my art group. Like seriously, you responded to the call of art with art. That's amazing. That is
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
that I think that's exactly how it should have been too.
Yep. Yep.
Even if I was like, "Hey, I'm interested in joining your group," they're like, "Don't know who this guy is."
Hmm.
I just started. I don't want to like end up something where it's some person that's trying to destroy everything before it even begins.
Mm.
It's a lot of risk on one side or the other. So
Yep.
I think in order for me to be in sort of a makeshift or on the spot interview, I
Hmm.
figured writing a poem in return would show you that I'm not just another person. I'm interested, invested into the same sort of things you are.
Hmm. Exactly. And that's exactly what it did. That's exactly what it did. Man, this is so dope, bro. And again, I know we have our one-on-one, that we're gonna come back to in regards to this, in regards to just who you are in general. So I don't want to go too deep because I want to save some for that. So let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. It's talent show night, man. Um, since you're the guest, since you're my first guest actually on this talent show, I will have you go first if you want to, or I can go first if you want me to go first. But I point the fingers at you, man. You can definitely go first. Lay the ground, in terms of the poem, what it's about, things of that nature, and then you can go into the actual poem itself, or you can read the poem itself first, and then talk about it after, whichever way you want to, man. But I would say we give each other maybe about 10 minutes each, to just showcase what it is we want, and we could just go from there, bro.
Okay.
Let's
I
do it.
think you said this is your first one, right?
This is my first. This is the first talent show. Yeah,
First talent show. Okay.
yeah.
Um, I think I'll give you two of them tonight.
Let's do
That
it.
way you can be happy about your first one, and I can kind of play with the system here because uh, I think we talked about this before. I don't know if it was comments or from the last conversation,
Yeah,
but I think I mentioned that gaslight was the word of the year last year,
yeah,
and I have a poem that is named Gaslight, so I figured
yeah.
it'd be a good time to do that one too. But I'll do the other
Nice.
one first.
Okay.
So let me find it really quick.
Yeah. I'm curious, man. Where do you write your poems? Is it on your phone or is it a notepad or
Yeah, it's on my phone, Notepad.
notepad? Okay. Yep. Same. 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 The app is like so designed for it. That black background is perfect for poetry.
Oh, it's so easy to look at,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think even if you like back out of it, it saves exactly what you have, even if you back out without saving.
Exactly. Bro. How useful is that tool? Like
It's amazingly
it,
useful.
I would be pissed if it just lost everything, man.
Oh, so many do like the Word documents and all that stuff. If you don't
Mhm.
save,
Yeah.
there it goes. Or if
Exactly.
like crashes or anything like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so this one's called Chapter.
All right, chapter.
Yep, I've used Chapter kind of. I
Mm,
guess it wasn't really the next chapter of my life, but I'm gonna
mm.
represent that in my published book as the following of a chapter.
Nice, nice. Love it.
But I think this chapter for now is the end of the one who inspired me. She has passed on since then, but I still hold her close to my heart because she supported me when nobody else did.
Nice, bro. Nice.
Guys. We are all gathered here today to bow our heads and pray, to understand in between the black and white. I'm talking about the gray. Intentions and fallacies gleam, torture our unforgiving eyes. We may burst at the seam. Bring us back to the past. She has closed her eyes at last. See the stars are vast as the glimmer in her eyes are now cataracts. She is buried in her suppressed, what we all know to believe in love. How does no one talk? Are we not blood?
Mm.
What brings about the differences to teach what there is to find? In her last waking moments, she had lost her mind, being touched by an angel of some kind, the grip to life and the state of mind. We think fondly, euphoric, just become empty over time. Isn't life sublime? How influences create actions, some that become blurred, the right and wrong lines. As chapters end, we not only lost a family member, we also lost a friend.
Mm.
As for all the tears that have befallen, what has happened is a crime. You keep secrets to say off the front lines. I don't know about you, but my feelings are the only ones that come to mind. Cry over spilled tea, an inconveniencing. I may be here physically, but I'm a million miles away, dancing in the stars. My own version of a god complex. Want
Mm.
to play?
Mm. Man, that was amazing, bro. That was amazing. This could you give me a little more history about this one?
I think it was. So she had. Oh, let's see. Where do I start? Okay, so she moved in with my parents before I moved back in with them the second time,
Okay.
and she had I think she had broken her leg when she was living by herself
Wow.
because she's kind of very soft spoken, not very. I mean, soft spoken's enough. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um, so the dogs would kind of do whatever they wanted, and they were circling around her while she was trying to go down the stairs, and she fell down the stairs, broke her leg.
Mm.
So she had to come live with my parents because it was hard for her to live independently anymore.
Mm.
And that when I moved back in, she was still living there.
This was an old girl. This was an old friend.
This is my grandma, the
I'm
one
sorry, your
that,
grandma. Okay, okay.
yeah, the one that
Mm.
inspired this poem. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So she did all that. She ended up having to go back to the to. She had to go to a retirement home for a little bit
Mm.
because when she woke up, because she's got I believe she had sundowners, which
Mm.
basically means your personality in the during the sunrise is much different than when the moon is up,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
which happens a lot in older people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she would always be up and moving at night, and the dresser fell on top of her, so she had to go there. And when she came back, she was kind of uh, losing her health quickly.
Wow.
So when she passed, they waited a long time before they did the funeral
Mm.
because my parents only like to go during only when it's convenient for them, which goes to show a lot about them. But
Mm.
I don't think that really mattered. They wanted to wait until whatever time that's on them.
Yeah.
Um, but they told me that they didn't want me to go there because it would just be a small ceremony. I'm like, dude, this person has supported me
Yeah.
in times where nobody else would, so I want
Yeah.
to go for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I never ended up going because I think I had something else to take care of at that point in time, which
Mm-hmm.
is a shame. But I wrote that poem because I wanted to go uh, onto the altar, or go up there and speak
Mm.
and read that poem
Yeah.
as an
Yeah.
essential backhand to everybody that has disrespected her and disrespected me in the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that
Yeah.
they would really care, but
Yeah.
it would be a kind of chapter defining moment for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love it, man. I love it. That was beautiful, man. And I think that had you read that there, I know that everyone would have sincerely felt that. And I'm sure if she heard it, I'm sure that she would also be extremely proud of you continuing on your journey of expression, in terms of art and your emotions through poetry. I'm so glad you got that support from her, man. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And so you have one more?
Yep, I can do it more if you want.
All right, let's do it, man.
I just wasn't sure if you're going to do yours first and then mine, or I wasn't sure I was going to go.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. And hey, the floor is yours. That was beautiful. Wow.
Okay, so that one was really, uh, uh, it might sound confusing when I say it. More of a rendition of a poem, more of like a how do I word this?
Maybe like a goodbye letter. Maybe like a goodbye
No,
poem.
the last poem was like classically written, so it looks more like a poem in a poetry format. When you look at
Mm,
like uh, oh god, where the sidewalk ends, and those kind of poems, it's kind of like it doesn't have anything really repeating. I guess what I'm saying is that this poem is going to be
mhm,
more like a song type poem.
okay.
So I'll have
Okay.
some, also have some recurring a chorus. I guess is what I should say.
Yeah. Hmm. Love it.
Okay. I don't know what you think you have. The memories of which you grab. The insanity. Can't talk, I guess. The insanity of me
Hmm.
doing adapt. You really think this is okay? Gaslighting me after all the days I had to pay to keep your twisted words encouraging me day after day. I want you to know I'm not taking this lightly. I wish I had a counselor Skype me. The
Hmm.
games you played just more slightly. I want you to know the good, the bad, it's quite frightening. You always reinforce positive growth. Are you willing to say that under oath? Say it to St. Louis or the Pope? Now I know you are delusional, making claims so innocently, trying to make it seem like the struggle I've had was all a dream, trying to pull what's left of my sanity. I guess I was right. You have been gaslighting me. Though I struggle to understand how so much grief can be swayed with a hand, I put a spell on you. You are evil. I like to live dangerously, Knievel, frantically trying to have some sleight of hand. You have put what you cause into revealing the truth. After 4 months, the love you had went up in smoke. That's why I sit here and toke. I can't believe you are both in on it. Baka, you bloke. Now I know you are delusional, making claims so innocently, trying to make it seem like the struggle I've had was all a dream, trying to pull what's left of my sanity. I guess I was right. You have been gaslighting me. I tried to let things go, yet since then I've seen a change. Once as friends, I guess my forgiveness is to blame. You don't want to take the final step. Tell me it isn't true. You wanted to ruin my life. What is done is unto you. Unintentional, probably, yet no more responses. Actions speak louder than words. The silence is highly deafening as I'm no longer here. My black heart gets darker as once upon a time grows near. I create an anomaly, only to be looked at as psycho. The dreams I have, I might go. It must seem crazy. The light's green, go! As the new year sprouts, so do the seeds of deception and lies. I no longer spew in self doubt. I no longer hear my own distant cries. As everything seems clear, the worse my mental state is. A conspiracy is on the rise. Yet all you acclaim is there is no yeast. Deep down, you know it's the truth. Even if you don't say it out loud, you know that. That you know, at least. Now I know you are delusional, making claims so innocently, trying to make it seem like the struggle I've had was all a dream, trying to pull what's left of my sanity. I guess I was right. You have been gaslighting me.
Man, man. Bro, you got to give us the history. Yeah, I know you gave us a bit, in the group, but you got to give it to us here. You have to.
I think it has a lot of. It's very difficult. So I think
Hmm.
when I was living through the whole thing,
Yeah.
it was hard to even tell. It was
Hmm.
hard to tell when people were lying or people were trying to change the story or do whatever,
Hmm.
make me feel like I was crazy.
Yeah.
This was written a couple years later when I started actually delving into narcissistic personality disorder. And
Mm.
the more I read into it, you have no idea how much all of it made sense and how much correlated in my mind and how much did that. Um, I think I can. I don't know if some people would understand some of the lines I did, but like when I said, "You always reinforce positive growth. Are you willing to say that under oath? Say it to St. Louis or the Pope." Now, I don't
Mm,
know if people are into sports. I know you have a sport group as well.
yeah.
But if you look at the baseball team, St.
Mm,
Louis Cardinals,
mm,
what's another uh, jumping stone from Pope? It's a to be a cardinal.